So what is the world's most powerful affirmation? Well, firstly, before I get into that, let's talk a little bit about what affirmations are, what some of the myths are around affirmations, what empowers affirmations, and the right and wrong type of affirmations that people are using. And one particular type of affirmation can actually be more harmful than it is good. So thank you for watching. Firstly, what is an affirmation? An affirmation is usually a positive phrase or statement, one that you repeat ongoingly with the intention of reprogramming and reconditioning your brain, your mind. And it's a practice that is usually done during meditation or different types of meditation practices. It's something that can be done throughout your day. But either way, as I said, the intention is to pick a phrase or a statement to reprogram something that you feel like you need changed in your life. And the reason for that is very simple, because every belief system that you have, everything that is in your life is a complete reflection of your belief systems, the limitations and the programs and the conditions that you have been programmed with. And those programs have piled on throughout your whole entire life, beginning with your parents or your primary caregivers, right? Because when we were born as a baby, we were a clean slate, all right? There wasn't any judgments, there wasn't any criticisms. We didn't look at people and think whether they were good looking, bad looking, this and that, or any such thing. We were just a clean slate, right? And everything that you are today is a result of all that conditioning and the circumstances and the situations under which you grew up. So affirmations are very powerful because they do have the ability to help reframe your belief systems and help mitigate the programs that are already running there. But like I said, not all affirmations are the same. So let's talk about the different types of affirmations that are out there in the world. The most popular type of affirmation is one that begins with I am. And a lot of people still talk about I am affirmations, and a lot of people actually believe that I am affirmations are the single most powerful form of affirmation. However, that could not be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of the worst type of affirmations that are out there if not used correctly. And the reason for that is very, very simple. When you are affirming something in the present tense that is not true and not accurate, your unconscious, your subconscious mind knows that. And so it will immediately respond and react to that in a negative way. And further to that, you're actually lying to yourself. Let me give you an example. I am love, or I am safe, or I am blessed. If you inherently don't believe that to be true, then unconsciously there could be resistance that starts coming up and saying, no, you're not. How could you even say that? That's not true. And so all you're actually doing is creating an internal conflict and aggravating a situation that you're actually trying to pacify and remove or let go of in your life, a certain type of belief system. The fact is that if you believed what you were affirming, there'd be no point in really saying it. So that's a huge, huge thing. But as I said, worse than that is you're actually lying to yourself, right? So you're actually telling yourself that you're a liar and that you can't be trusted. And so there are mechanisms inside the psyche that are going to react and respond to that, because they're a greater aspect to you. And the unconscious part of you, the subconscious mind, rules well over 99% of your conscious experiences. And it has programs that are running automatically, because that's just the way our brain works. Our brain wants to conserve energy, so it will automate as many functions as possible. And that's the reason why we end up having all these bad habits and these programs that are so difficult to remove. And affirmations are a tool, but there are definitely better ways of doing affirmations. And so let's talk about some of them. So firstly, I identified that I am affirmations are not good. Secondly, any affirmation that has a negative word in it is not useful. As an example, I am not afraid. What you're basically telling your unconscious is, I am afraid. And the reason for that is, again, the unconscious brain and the unconscious mind does not hear negative words. It doesn't understand them. So when you're constantly saying, I am not afraid, I am not afraid, I am not afraid, all it's hearing is, I am afraid, I am afraid, I am afraid. And it's actually scientifically proven. There have been studies that proven what happens when people affirm and talk in those negative ways, that with a negative context for something that they're trying to really, and the intention is for it to be positive. And the reason why the unconscious doesn't hear the negative words is because, and this gets into the spiritual, metaphysical type concepts, it's because everything is love, everything is one, and there is no such thing as negativity. Negativity is a human third-dimensional response to things that we don't like, or when things aren't going our way, or when we're receiving no love and trauma. So it doesn't actually exist in the higher planes of reality. So it doesn't exist at the end of the day. And so negative words, you have to be very careful with that, and certainly do not have those in your affirmations in any way, shape, or form. You have to figure out a positive way of reframing whatever it is that you're trying to reprogram. So we've addressed I am affirmations. We've addressed negative affirmations, or affirmations that have negative words in it. So what are some of the better affirmations that you could be saying? Here's one that's an I am one that is actually good. I am open to receiving more love, as an example. I allow more love into my reality or into my heart. I welcome and receive this love, or I welcome more love into my daily life, or I receive love in each and every moment. I surrender to receiving more and more love. I let go of my resistance to love. If you look at every single one of those, they are open type phrases. They are welcoming phrases. They are allowing phrases. And if you actually look at the deeper spiritual concepts and the concepts of transformation and creating breakthroughs in your life and ultimately realizing your full potential, what you're always doing is you're actually removing stuff that's in the way. Usually it's non-love, is just the way that I describe it, but all the non-love that's inside of you, which includes mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual stuff. But you're also, with that, going into a place of surrender. You're going into a place of letting go, of allowing all the positive things into your life. And so those sort of more allowing and opening and welcoming and receiving and all of that are ways in which you can reframe your affirmations in a way that is not going to create internal conflicts, because you're affirming that I'm opening myself up. I want to open myself up. I want to allow this energy in and to allow it to become part of me. And that's very, very different. And if you actually meditate and you're sensitive to energies and so forth, you will notice a difference when you're saying those sort of affirmations. And I did, and it's been profound when I have implemented that, because I used to use I am affirmations all the time because that's what everyone was saying to do. And I always wondered, why aren't these affirmations doing anything? And then when I switched over and changed, that's when I started like, whoa, what a difference. It was like the doors were open and I could just feel the energies coming in to my body and doing whatever work it needed to do on me. And it was a profound difference. So when are the best times to do affirmations, and how can you empower your affirmations? And then I'll get into what the single most powerful affirmation in the world is and why. And the best time to use affirmations is whenever you can, ultimately, throughout your day, whenever you possibly can. Remember to repeat the affirmations. You can make up any type of affirmation you want as long as you follow the guidelines that I've said. And you might be doing it because you have specific issues that you're trying to focus on, right? And trying to reprogram, whether it's abundance or safety or love or relationships or health, wellness, etc., etc., etc. So have fun with it and make them fun. You can make them as short or as long as you want. It really doesn't matter as long as it works for you. But also be clear on the definitions of the words that you're using too, what your personal definitions are, because the word love, as an example, can mean a lot of different things to different people. Obviously, there's love in the context of relationships. There's love in the context of self-love. And some people don't believe in love because they've been hurt so much. And so they might have a negative interpretation of love, like love is painful and love is this and love is that. A really good exercise to do when you come up with an affirmation that you want to use is to do a little bit of writing and see what your internal definition is of that word and what the definition is that you know that it's supposed to be and that you want it to be in the context of you doing affirmations. And in doing so, you can readjust your psyche to receive the words in the way that they're originally intended. So really, really important, because another interesting example would be work. I don't have a negative association with the word work. Work is just work. It's doing something. But for some people, they see work as grinding. They see it as their 9-to-5 job, and they have these negative associations. And so that word triggers all these negative reactions. So if you were to use that in an affirmation, it could have the opposite effect. And obviously that might not be the best example in terms of an affirmation, but you get what I'm saying. Words can have different meanings to different people, and including to yourself. And so it is important to make sure that your definition of the word, as far as your unconscious and you are concerned, is aligned with what it is that you're trying to actually reprogram. So the best times is, like I said, all the time. However, the most powerful times is whenever you're in an altered state, whenever you're in a theta state, ideally, or a higher vibrational state of mindlessness. So that would be when you're meditating, or when you first wake up in the morning. It's a very, very powerful time to reprogram your consciousness. Or when you're just about to go to sleep, very, very powerful time, again, to reprogram your consciousness. During exercise, great time, because you're moving and you're doing your exercises. You don't have the monkey mind going, so you're able to better reprogram yourself. And that's one of the reasons why, for instance, listening to music during workouts and any external stimuli, whether it's TV, social media, and so forth, it's really, really important that you look at what you're feeding your mind with, because you are constantly getting programmed and conditioned in your day-to-day life with everything that you do. So obviously affirmations help with that. The other times that doing affirmations is really powerful is when you're being creative. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about singing and things like that, but it could be while you're painting or drawing or doing graphic art or something artistic where you're in the zone. So whenever you experience that timelessness is when you're in an altered state. It's when you're actually in a hypnotic state or meditative state, which are both the same thing ultimately. Those are the times when it's most powerful to do the affirmations, but obviously doing it as often as you possibly can is the best. So, what is the single most powerful affirmation in the world? Now, this particular affirmation is not something that I came up with. It was made popular by Ramana Maharishi from Tiruvannamalai in India. And he was a great avatar, God-realized individual. And he attained God realization by saying this affirmation. And it's the only affirmation that has ever been attributed to liberating someone and having someone attain enlightenment and self-realization. And this affirmation is so powerful because it's also a question, and it's the ultimate question. So what is it? It's, who am I? And if you think about it for a second, firstly, as I mentioned, because it's a question, it's extremely powerful, because our mind is a manifestation machine. Our brain is responsible for every action and everything we do in the physical realm. So it controls our hands, our legs, our thoughts. Everything is, our whole entire physical reality is controlled by the brain to a certain degree, because it's also influenced by emotions and all of that sort of stuff, but ultimately the mechanics of it. So when you ask a question, your brain automatically goes into seeking mode, seeking the answer and drawing the answer to your question. Think about it. When you ask, who am I? Then your mind starts drawing in everything that you are to you, so that you can become who you are, and so that it can answer the ultimate question. But here's the kicker. Who are you truly? Because if you think that you're this avatar, this body, this physical form, that's the smallest aspect of who you are. You're an infinite being. Ultimately, you're God. You're one with all of creation. 100% of you is of oneness, is love, is of the quantum field. And so that question ripples throughout all of creation, constantly summoning that to you, and you become more and more of who you truly are and who you were born to be. It's uncanny how powerful that affirmation is. And to be quite honest, it trumps all the other affirmations. 100%. And a lot of people will say, well, I'm dealing with safety issues, or I'm dealing with not feeling good enough and all of these other issues. Shouldn't I do an affirmation that is more tailored to that specific issue? And it's like, yeah, you can. Of course you can. And maybe for you, that might be better for a period of time. But the real truth is that when you're saying and repeating, who am I? It's going to address that and everything else that's limiting you that you're not even aware of, because it has to. And Ramana Maharshi actually wrote a whole book just about that one affirmation. I used to have it. I don't know where it is anymore. I think I left it in the ashram before I moved out, and I never really got a chance to read it. It doesn't matter because I know what the affirmation is. And I still use it to this day. I don't use it as often as I used to because I do a lot of other really, really powerful techniques that are designed to work with my superconscious, my higher self, to reprogram and recondition my consciousness and my whole entire physical reality. And that's what I teach, okay, my Facebook groups and when I do live reclaiming sessions where I start that process for each individual that comes on those live calls. And I also have the Instant Breakthrough System, which is a 6-week program where I go really, really in depth on how to create transformation and breakthrough from the inside out using the most powerful hypnosis, NLP, and other practices that are out there, the best of everything. And the only way to transform your life and to change anything in your life is through the inside out. As a matter of fact, every single change and transformation that happens in anyone's life always begins with something changing inside of them, even if they believe and they attribute the result to an external source. But why not just short circuit the whole system and go within and then let your whole life reflect the work that you're doing on the inside, because it will. And then you're guided and all of that fun stuff. So anyway, who am I? Who are you? As a matter of fact, in my perfect meditation framework training, I have a recording where I repeat, who am I? Who are you? With some really powerful, high frequency, binaural beat type sounds that really alters your consciousness. It's really, really powerful. And if you want access to that, it's for free through my free Facebook group. So anyway, thank you for listening. Please play around with this. Affirmations are very, very powerful and they are helpful. However, they're not really the fastest way. Who am I is the fastest way with an affirmation, but to actually learn how to communicate with your higher self, your God self, and to be constantly engaging with it and allowing it to intervene on your behalf to accelerate every aspect of your life, there's no faster way to transform your life and to accelerate everything that you could ever possibly want. So with that, I say thank you, and please comment, share, like, and help me out by giving me as much exposure as you're willing to. Thank you.